Hello guys, welcome to the new video wherein we'll be discussing the Java MCQ questions for InfyTQ, right? So I hope most of you have already applied for the InfyTQ exam, right? So if you still have any doubts, any issues regarding the registration process, the dates, right? I'm not sure when you're watching this video if the registrations are still on or not, but we have shared a detailed registration process video. So the link can be found in the description of the same video. You can go and find the link for the registration video for InfyTQ and the entire process that works around it. Talking about the syllabus, I'll not be talking about the syllabus for Java or anything here because there's no point discussing it here. We have created a separate video altogether for the syllabus for InfyTQ as well. The link to again the same video can be found in the description of this particular video. You can go and watch that video as well to understand the syllabus for InfyTQ, right? Apart from that, guys, it is really very important that you join all our social media handles, that is Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, because we keep on sharing a lot of important information related to placements, a lot of off-campus related updates, and the best part is we have separate handles for different batch pass out. So if you're a 2022 batch pass out, we have a different handle for this. The link to this channel's handles can be found in the description of the same video. Once you go join them, you will see a lot of interesting posts related to placements, a lot of off-campus drive updates, and a lot more important stuff which you don't find anywhere else on the internet, right? So make sure you go and join all the handles. Apart from that, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and click onto the bell icon as well so that you never miss out on any important videos as like this, right, in the future, right? So let me not waste any more time here. Let us start with a question, a simple question on your screen which says, what will be the output of the following code? You have a code, you have 4 options. So you have to answer out of that. So I'll suggest you take a pause, try solving it on your own, and once done, definitely play the video and see what I have for the solution, right? All right, guys. So here's the code which says, so there is a class parent, right? A parent class containing a final method, final void display, right? And then there is another class child that is extending the parent class. And then there is another method which is not a final this time, public void display. Again, s out to print. This is a child class method. And then in the main class, seems fine to me, and then parent object is equal to new child. So guys, tell me one thing, when I'm writing parent object is equal to new child, an object of which class has been created, the parent class or the child class? So an object of the child class will get created in that case. So actually in Java we can actually create, so using the parent you can create an object of either the parent class or the child class. Both are valid. So do not think there is any error in this particular area. This is all good. So by doing this, we have actually created an object of the child class. We saw the parent in the child class. The code seems okay. So now when we have called object.display, which one would it call? It would call this particular method, public void display. It should print this is a child class method. This is a child class method. So how many of you think option number C is the correct option? That is not the case. The problem here is, the problem here is this. So the method that we created, the display method, right? Same display method we are overriding in the child class as well. The problem here is a final method, right? This is final. A method declared with final cannot be overridden. We have tried to override the same display method here in the child class, but that is not possible. Because when you are specifying a method to be final, it can never be overridden. So the error that we'll get here is a compile time error, right? You will get a compile time error here because this was a final method and a final method cannot be overridden. So a very small thing, a very small, small concept, but that could have you could have made a mistake easily in the exam if you would have ignored that, right? Moving on to the next question. Okay, a question from ArrayList in Java. So a most asked type of question, I'll say ArrayList, linked list are the one questions that are asked repeatedly in Java. Apart from that, object, classes, inheritance. Inheritance is one thing that would be repeatedly asked in Java, right? So a question, again, you have to find the output of the following code. You have an array list given, we are adding some elements to the array list, and you have to find what would be the output when we actually print out the object of the array list. Again, the same thing, you can take a pause here, try solving it on your own, and then definitely I'll help you out with the solution for this, right? Okay, guys, so we are talking about a class ArrayList, right? Seems okay. Java library has already been imported. Talking about the main PSVM, I call it PSVM, public static void main. So, right, PSVM seems fine here. You have created an object, so ArrayList object equals to new ArrayList, fine. You are now adding objects. So what do we have added first? So you have added P, you have added E, you have added P. This is the 0th index. This is index number 1 at index 2. So this and this are done. Here what we're trying to do is, at the index 1 we are trying to add R. So tell me one thing, there could be two scenarios that you might have been thinking about. The first could be, you are replacing the element at the index 1 with R. So P, R, P. Second, when we add things with 1 comma the element, what actually ArrayList does is maybe this P, it inserts R at the index 1. So R will be inserted at index 1, and then E and P will shift 1 position, 1 index, E and P. So these are the two possibilities wherein most of you would be stuck, right? So let me tell you one thing, the correct answer for this one is option number 2. That is option number B. Why? Because object.add, when you are, with a comma separator, when you enter the index comma the element, what it does is it inserts the element at the index that you have specified, and then shifts the rest of the elements by 1 index, right? This is not a replacement. A lot of you would think that at index 1 if we go and replace this E with R. That is not the case. A lot of people, so we have done a survey and a lot of people do this. So this is something that actually works out in maps in Java. So when you are actually working out on maps in Java, the similar command, right, actually helps you replacing elements with, when you give the index and the element, right, it actually goes and replaces the element. But in case of ArrayList, you are actually inserting one there. So you have inserted R at the index 1 and the rest to got shifted. So I hope you are able to understand this one, right? Okay, talking about the next question, what will be the output of the following code? Okay, so it's about the static blocks and method calling, right? Guys, I'll suggest you to take a pause here. This is a very interesting question altogether, right? Take a pause, definitely play the video once you have solved it on your own. Be it incorrect, but at least try to solve this. Give yourself some confidence, maybe 10% chances that you get it right? Definitely go try solve it once, pause the video and then get back when you are done, right? Okay guys, so what do you think would be the answer for this particular one? A, B, C, D? Let us see. Let us try to find that out on our own. So the first class prep, right? It has a method display, right? Public void display. It is gonna print display method. Then there is one instance block over here, an instance method, right? You don't specify anything next to an instance method, right? You just write it. So sout instance block is there. Okay, this is the first class. Okay, and then there is public void prep const, which has actually another method which has the constructor been printed inside. And then we have a static block of this. So guys, tell me one thing. So what they have done here is, in the main, they have actually created an object of the class prep. PI is an object of the class prep. They have called the display method. They have called the prep const method. These two methods are called. So now, the question is simple if you know the hierarchy when things get called, right? When in objects and classes. So first thing is, let me tell you, so you will definitely be able to answer when you would listen to this carefully. So the first thing is whenever there is a static block, this is the first thing that gets printed or that gets called in Java. Second thing are the instance block. And then third comes the constructor. No matter in which order you are calling them, but whenever you are calling two different methods as well, if let's say there is a static block in the second method, that would definitely be called first. Then the instance block, then constructors, and then all the other methods as per the order in which you are calling them. So when you have actually called display method and prepconst method, the compiler would see that there is a static block over here. So it would get the first preference. So static block would get called first. So what would get printed? Static block would be the first thing that the compiler would print. Secondly, it would see that there is an instance block as well. So it would print the instance block. Right? We are done, no constructor over here. So now it would actually go and see what things do it need to print in the display method. So when it comes to the display method, it will print display method, and then prepconst, right? In prepconst, there is this constructor been printed, right? So this is not a constructor, this is just the constructor been printed, right? So constructor here. So option number A is the correct answer. Always remember that does not matter in which order you are calling them. If a compiler sees a static keyword, that would be the first thing that would be called and printed in Java, right? Never ever forget that, right? Okay, a quick question. Can we implement and extend both an interface and a class simultaneously? What do you think would be the answer for this? Want to think on this for a minute? Right, take a pause, think about this, give me the correct answer post that, right? Okay guys, so actually Java is the only environment wherein you can actually use parallel interference. What does that mean? Or parallel inheritance is what Java also allows. So that actually means that you can actually simultaneously implement an interface and extend a class. Even if the interface has nothing to do with the class or the object that we have created, maybe even if it belongs to a different package altogether, but still you can, use the attributes of that particular interface in any class, in any different package just by, importing it in your class or in your main. So that means the answer for this one is yes. Only in Java it is possible that you can, extend a class and as well as simultaneously implement an interface, right? So yes, your answer should be A in this case, right? Okay guys, so a quick update for you. So I'm not sure whether it is launched when you're watching this video or not, but InfyTQ Prime Video course would be launched very soon. The prices for that would be 1799 rupees. So the actual price is way higher. But when you use the coupon code YouTube, the coupon code would also be available in the description. If the course has already been launched, you can use the coupon code which is given there. So that would be YouTube, and you can get an instant, offer of 200 rupees there. So you can get the classes for 1799 rupees. And in our Prime Video course, we definitely gonna cover each and everything that you actually need for InfyTQ exam, be it coding part, be it the aptitude, the logical. Will also help you with the interview preparation and everything. So this is one complete course for your InfyTQ preparation. So the link and the coupon code can be found in the description of the same video. Apart from that guys, if you have multiple exams in your head, if I'm planning for multiple exams rather than buying individual Prime Video courses, you can actually opt for the Royal Pass. So what is a Royal Pass? So a Royal Pass is basically access to every course that is available on PrepInsta. So that actually means we have 35 plus company specific courses. If you multiply them by 2000, that would be a huge number, right? And so you get 30 plus company specific courses. You get platform based courses like AMKite, CoQ, Elitmus, TCS NQT as well, which they call TCS NQT now, not TCS INC CQT. Aptitude courses, you get interview preparation course, resume, mock interviews, you get C++, DSA, Python courses included. We are planning to launch Java course very soon, right? So that would also be added there. ML, AI, everything would be included. Competitive coding, DBMS, data science, these are the courses that we would be launching very soon, right? So once you are a Royal Pass member, any new course that we launch within the 1 year of your subscription, you get a free access to that. You don't even have to ask that. That will get automatically updated on your dashboard that we have this new course, you can study this as well. Apart from that, you also get certifications for the courses that you complete on Prepinsta using your Royal Pass. You get certificate for C, C++, Python, DSA, data science, Java, whatever courses that would be available and that you complete, you will get a certification for that, right? So yeah, the link for the Royal Pass and the Prime Video course can be found in the description of the video. So now let's get back to our session again. So another question in front of your screen. What will be the output of the following equation? Wherein A is 2, B is 6, C is 15. Talking about pre-increment and post-increment, that's what the entire logic is here. Take a pause, try solving it, and then get back to me when you have solved it on your own, right? Okay guys, so I hope you have fair enough idea on pre-increment and post-increment, right? So I'm not gonna explain the entire scenario over here. So let us talk about this particular equation. So this is one single equation. What do you mean by pre-increment? So the value of C is 15 as of now. So what would happen is when this value would get inputted here, it will pre-increment and then get inputted here. So that means the value for C would be 16 because plus C, then plus A. So plus A is basically plus 2, minus B, so that means minus 6, and then minus A again, so minus 2, plus. What about this one guys, C plus plus? What do you think would be the value for C here? 16, 15? The value for C++ would be 15 here, guys. One thing is, when you actually do C++, the results or whatever changes you have made, that would be reflected on the next step, not on this particular step. I'm sorry, guys. So this would be 15. So people would say, sir, you already pre-incremented the value of C here, which was 15. So you made it 16 already. So why not 16 here? So even that would be reflected in the next step when you have actually taking values, actual values from here, pre-increment, post-increment. For pre-increment itself, so 15, it became 16 here, but that will not make any changes to this C value, right? So when you are actually taking this C++, this C value here, so 15, right? That would be taken as 15 here. So it is 15 now and 15 plus plus. So in the next step of the equation, this would become 16. So let's talk about this place here. So the value here would be, so 2 and 2 gone. 16 minus 6 is 10 and plus 15. So that would be nothing but 25. Option number A is the correct answer in this case, right? Moving on to the next question. Okay, again a question where you need to find output, right? So what will be the output of the following code? Okay, something which is actually related to a ternary operator. Yes, I hope you have fair enough idea onto ternary operator and then basic while loop, right? Take your time, try solving this. This is actually a very easy question, right? Take your time, try solving this and get back to us with the correct answer, right? All right, guys. So what would be the output of the following code? So a class prep, a main function, you have initialized int count with a value 1, use the for while loop. So it will run till the count is less than or equal to 10, right? And then s out count %2 equal to 0 question mark. So what does this mean? This is actually ternary operator. What is the function of a ternary operator? So can you see this question mark over here? So this is actually the left hand side of the question mark, right hand side of the question mark. So this is actually a condition, right? We are checking whether count %2 is equal to 0 or not. So this is gonna either throw a true value or a false value, right? So so if it is 1 mod 2, so that is basically not 0. So that would be false. If it is, let's say 2 mod 2, 2 mod 2, so the remainder would be 0. So that is true. So what happens in ternary operator is, right? So before the question mark, it checks the condition. If it is true, the first value is assigned. So the first value is the actual value in the printout that you get. And if it is false, the second value gets assigned. For an example, let us just say, assume that the count value was 7. So if the count value is 7, 7 mod 2, it would give a remainder of 1, right? But they are checking if it is a condition of 0. So that means it is false. So if it is false, 0 is what gets printed. Let's say it is 8 now. So if it is 8, 8 mod 2, it will give 0, remainder would be 0. So if the remainder is 0, the condition is true. If the condition is true, E would be assigned. So that means E would get printed, right? So now let us see what would be the output of our code. Int count is 1, so it starts with 1. So it enters the while loop with a value 1. So when it's 1, 1 mod 2, not 0, so false, right? So it would print O when value is 1. When value is 2, it would print, so 2 mod 2, 0, true. So true means it would print E. Then 3, it would print E, O, right? And there is an incrementer here as well. So tell me one thing, till what will this while loop be running? It will run till 10 or 9 or 11. So let's say it comes with a value of 10 now. So at 10, 10 mod 2 would be E, right? So till now, let's say we put dots here. Everything has been printed equal number of time, right? Because equal number of odd numbers, equal number of even numbers from 1 to 10, right? So now the value is 10 here. You have incremented it, so value becomes 11. When it comes here, checks the condition for the while loop, so the value should be less than or equal to 10. So when the value becomes 11, this would terminate, this would break out, right? So that actually means it would run from 1 to 10. So 5 times O and 5 times C. So both will be printed equal times is the answer. Option number C is the correct answer for this particular question. Okay, another easy question on your screen if you actually are aware of what a for loop is. What would be the, which of the following for loop declaration is not valid? Again, take a pause guys, try thinking about this, tell me the correct answer, right? Okay guys, so tell me one thing, what is the basic of a for loop? So in a for loop, you actually have init, which initialize your iterator, and then you have a condition, and then you have increment or decrement, right? That is what the basic condition for a for loop is. Now let us start checking each of the conditions one by one. Talking about A, x is 0, x should be greater than or equal to 1, which it would be always, and then we are incrementing x plus equals to 2. So every time x is x plus 2, x is equals to x plus 2 is what this actually means, right? So tell me one thing, is this an invalid for loop? I mean, is there something wrong with this for loop? There is something wrong, but that is not actually wrong conceptually. The thing here is, because every time x is 10, the condition is x should be greater than or equal to 1. So that means this is an infinite loop that would keep running all the time. So there is no termination for this loop, but there is nothing wrong with this loop, right? Talking about the second one, x is equal to 1, x should be less than or equal to 10, x plus plus. So this is a perfect loop. Option number C, for x is equals to 10, x should be greater than or equal to 1, x plus plus. Again, the same case as option number A, right? Increment is different here. X is x plus 2, here is x plus 1. But again, this would be an infinite loop, keep on running, no termination at all, cause the condition would always be valid, cause x is starting from 10, you are incrementing it, and then x should be, the condition is x should be greater than or equal to 1. It would definitely always be greater than, right? Maybe one thing that you could have done here was a decrement, right? X minus minus, even that would be a valid one. So this is actually a valid for loop. Now let's talk about D. There is something fishy in D. So init is okay. The condition is fine. But there is no increment or decrement. Right? This is not actually a for loop. This would be just running for one single time. Why? Because nothing has been incremented or decremented. If it's a loop, there should be something incrementing and decrementing, right? but it is like a static value x. We have made the value of x to be x by 2, so it would go run whatever is there in the block, but it will not repeat itself. I mean, there is no loop at all. So this is actually an invalid declaration, because in a for loop it should be init condition and then there should be an increment or a decrement condition, but it was simply x by 2 here, which is neither a decrement nor an increment. So that means that is an invalid statement altogether. Talking about the next question, a very easy question, to be honest, could be answered actually orally. You cannot create an object of what? Inner class, we definitely can create objects. Outer class, we can create objects of outer class. Final class, yes, we can create objects of final class, right? We cannot actually create objects of abstract class. So I would definitely suggest, I'm not going to explain this here. Take this as a task, go and study what an abstract class actually is and why we actually use abstract class. Very simple. You can go check it out once this is done. And I'll also, what will I'll also do here is, guys, I'll ask the team to share the link of our, Java specific course pages, right? Which are the pages that we have created for your assistant. So once they are ready, I'll ask the team to, share the link for those, wherein you can go and check out on theory for everything that you actually need quickly, right? We have all the important theory part, all the important code part that you actually need while learning Java, anything that you actually need while learning Java. We have created standard pages onto them, the link for which would be shared in the description of the video as well. So that is a free content altogether. You don't have to pay anything for that. You can find the link for that in the description of the video. I'm not sure whether we have launched that yet or not, but once that is done, we'll definitely share it too, right? So the answer for this is option number C. We cannot create an object of an abstract class. Okay, so talking about another interesting question. You have an array containing the following elements. Below is a code snippet with some missing lines. Fill out those lines of code for sorting the array in ascending order. So you actually need to know the code for arranging an array in an ascending order, right? If you know that, you would be able to answer this in seconds. So take a pause, guys. Try finding out the answer for this, and definitely I'll help you out find out the answer post fetch, right? Thank you. Take a pause here. Okay, guys, so talking about, so this is a very simple code. Actually, you have to arrange this array in ascending order, right? That is what the code snippet here means, right? So now let's talk about the options one by one. Talking about the first option. So I know one thing, that when you have to actually arrange things in ascending and descending order, we use two loops or we use nested loops to do the operations. So when I saw all the options had nested loop in it, right? So I was happy to see that. Now talking about the loop, guys. So first loop, right? It starts with I is equals to 0, I less than length. So it basically runs from the first index till the length and then I plus plus. And j is equal to 0, j less than length, j plus plus. This is something fishy that I saw here. Why? Because I is 0, right? So j. So if we are comparing elements, let's say I, so this is where the first element was. If you are comparing this with the rest of the elements, so that would be the next, that would start from the next element, right? Not the specific, that particular element. Let's say I is 1 here. So j should start from the element which are right after the I element, right? Which you are comparing with the rest. So this should be I plus 1. So this is not a correct option altogether. Talking about the second loop, for I equals to 0, I less than length, I plus plus, this is correct. Okay, this second, for I int j is equals to I plus 1, this is good. J greater than length. Where would j go if you're talking about j should be greater than length? J can never be greater than length, right? So this is again incorrect. So let me make it a short for you now. So now talking about C and D, j is 1, j less than length, j plus plus, j is again. So here again we see that j is greater than length. So this is again incorrect. So this is what the correct code for j. So let us also check what the correct code snippet actually means. So these three, right? We were able to, eliminate and find our answer, but still let's check whether the thing that we have done here is correct or not. So int I is j equals to I plus 1, j less than length, j plus plus. So we are comparing first element with the next one now. If array I is greater than array of j, so if the first element, let's say this element is greater than this one, so what do we need to do? We need to replace this, because we need to arrange things in ascending order, right? So let's say 4 and 3. Let's say this is the ith, this is from the ith loop, this is from the jth loop. So when you are comparing, if you see this is greater than this, so you will replace this, right? So you'll write it as 3 and 4. That is when it is in ascending order. So if array of I is greater than array j, I enter temp. So we are storing this 4 into some temp value. I is equal to j. So this value would become this, and then j would be temp. In j would store temp. So in j we would be storing. So what we're doing here is this 4, we are storing it in temp. This value are making it is, so using this particular array of I is equal to array of j. So that means whatever was here, so 4 is equal to 3 is what we're doing. So here it would be stored as 3, and then at 3 we are storing it as temp. So at 3 it would get replaced with the value stored at temp, which was 4. So this would become 4, right? So guys, that's all we had from the basics on the Java MCQ questions. We have a lot more things actually, which I cannot cover everything in this particular one single video. So we have the InfyTQ Prime video course for you, wherein we would be covering all that you actually need for your InfyTQ preparation, right? Be it related to Java or Python or any other stuff, right? So guys, let me tell you one thing. So if you are actually looking to register for the InfyTQ, and if you're not sure about the link and everything, you can go out and check the video, the link to which is shared in the description of the video. That would actually help you on registering. I'm not sure when you're actually watching this video, whether the InfyTQ registrations are on or not. If they are actually on, you would find the link to register and understand all about the registration process by watching the video. The link is there in the description. Apart from that, if you're actually confused about the syllabus of InfyTQ, the link to again the same is shared in the description of the video, right? InfyTQ Prime video course would be launched very soon. If it has been launched already, the link for this can be found in the description of the video along with a coupon code, right? Make sure you go and check it out once for sure. Now let's talk about the Royal Pass, guys. So what is a Royal Pass? So a Royal Pass is actually access to everything that is available on Prep Insta. That actually includes 30 plus company specific course, the platform specific courses like AMCAT or Elitemus or TCS IONC Security, which is no longer valid, but we still have TCS NQT, which is happening every 3 months, right? And then CoCubes. And then we have a complete placement course for aptitude. We have interview preparation course, we have resume building course, mock interview courses. Apart from that, we have C, C++, DSA, Python. We are planning to launch Java soon. We are planning to launch ML, competitive coding, DBMS, data science courses soon. So everything actually would be included in your Royal Pass. Let us say you buy the Royal Pass today. And let's say competitive coding is not available now. But what if we launch it 2 months from now? You will actually get access to that as well. So when you buy a Royal Pass, you have an access of 1 year. That is the validity of 1 year. So when you buy a course, whatever new courses that we launch during that time period, you get an automatic access to that. You do not even have to go and request us for the access to the competitive coding or any other course that we launch. That would actually, get auto updated in your dashboard already, and you would be able to see a button to access your competitive coding course as well. Not only this, guys, we also give you certifications for all the courses and all the tracks that you completed with Prep Insta. Be it C, C++, Python, DSA, Java, data science, any other course, right? Whatever courses that you have completed, you get a certification for a course completion, right? That you have completed this particular course, right? Prep Insta. So that would actually help you while, giving an interview. You would be a certified learner for that particular course, right? So you would be more confident. You'd be able to give more confidence to your interviewer that if you have a certification, if you also know about things, so you would be a wise candidate for the interviewer to hire, right? So apart from this, guys, this is very important that you join all our social media handles, that is Telegram, Instagram, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Twitter as well. Because we keep on sharing a lot of placement related updates, a lot of off-campus drive updates, and those all are, properly checked at our end. We never spam you with unnecessary things. We never spam you with expired drives or invalid drive updates, which a lot of channels, a lot of pages does on a regular basis. Whatever we share on our social media handles is something that is actually proofread properly, that is actually cross-verified multiple times, so that we do not waste time of yours or we do not spam you unnecessarily. For that, we have also segregated all our social media handles year-wise or batch-wise, right? So if you're a 2022 batch pass out, we have a separate Instagram handle for our 2022 batch students, so that when you go, you only get updates related to 2022 batch only, and not about 2019 or 2020 or 2021. Right? So the link to all our social media handles can be found in the description of the video. Apart from that, guys, do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also click on to the bell icon, so that you always are updated on all the placement drives and all the videos that we come up with, right? So our videos are related to preparation, our videos are related to applying to off-campus drives, our videos are related to interviews, resume building, and all a complete course of placements, right? So we keep on coming live for anything that is important for you. So if you have clicked onto the bell icon already, you would be getting a notification. Apart from that, guys, if you need to reach out to me for anything or any help that I can do for your placements, you can reach out to me as well. So this is my Instagram handle, that is Manish63163. You can reach out to me personally as well if you think there is something that you need to talk to me about. You can follow me on Instagram and then send me a message as well. I'll be more than happy to help you out, right? So thank you so much, guys. It was really amazing connecting with you. We'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.